Hey everybody. So today I'm going to walk through how I would draw Spider-Man. And I'm going to start with a circle for the head to set up the drawing. I'm going to keep this sketchy so you can see the shapes and how I connect them to build the body. After the head, I'm going to come in and drop the neck in here. And then next I'm going to draw this line that's going to kind of go down the middle of his upper body. It's going to help me set up the motion of the upper body and the figure. So next I'm going to come in and I'm going to start dropping the chest in. I'm going to go ahead and come down and finish with the upper body on this side. Then I'm going to come up to the trap and bring it all the way down the back to where it's going to come down and come to the waist right here. And that's kind of gonna show me where the hips are gonna line up and help me line up where the crotch is gonna come in. Next, I'm gonna draw this shoulder on this back arm, and I'm gonna do this arm first just because it's a little easier to draw just because it's further away, so it's gonna be smaller and you're gonna kind of not have as much detail in the shapes right here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw this shape through the head so you can see the shapes and how they connect, but that you wouldn't necessarily see that when you're finishing your drawing. Here I'm going to drop in the other shoulder, and the shoulder is going to connect to the pecs on the chest muscle, so I'm going to draw that in there. Now I'm going to do this arm in the back. So I'm going to draw basically a cylinder for the upper arm. And some of this is also being cut off. You can't see all of this part of the body because the shoulder's covering it. That's where kind of it would start if you could see through it. Now I'm going to add in the forearm. The forearm is also a cylinder, but it's going to be kind of narrowing as you get closer to the hand. So I'm going to go ahead and put a rectangle in for the hand. And I'm going to come back and draw the fingers in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and go to this other arm right now. I'm going to do the upper arm on this side, and this hand's going to kind of be coming out. But this is basically just a cylinder too for the upper arm. And now I'm going to start drawing the forearm. I'm going to put a circle right here, because this is kind of like the meatier part of your forearm. And then I'm going to have the rest of it down to the wrist. It's just like another little cylinder coming down to the wrist. And now for this hand, I'm going to actually draw a cube because this is going to be like his web slinging hand, and it's not just like a flat shape, it's more of a 3D shape. So I'm going to draw a cube right here to help me set that up where I'm going to place the fingers. Alright, so let's go ahead and start dropping the fingers in. And so this finger right here, I'm going to draw first because you can see the back and the side of it. And this is the only finger on this hand where you can see the back and the side, so that's why I'm doing that one first. I'm going to drop these other ones in where you can only kind of see the back of them, and they just kind of get further down, like the further down in the hand you go. And now I'm going to drop the thumb in. So that's basically it for that hand. And now I'm going to come back in here, and when I like to do the web slinging hands, I like to draw the fingers in the middle first because it kind of helps me set up the position of the hand and the rest of the fingers. So I'm going to go ahead and put those middle fingers in there. And there's like the bottom of the palm right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and start drawing the fingers that are sticking out and connect it to the bottom of the palm. Now I'm going to come in and draw the other finger in there. And don't want to forget about the thumb there either. Just tighten some lines up over here. Okay, so now we're going to come down, and the legs are actually going to be a little tricky because the way that they're going to be positioned, they're kind of going to be sticking out and blocking parts of the rest of the leg. But I'm going to go ahead and draw the shapes underneath that you can see them. So here I'm going to start with the thigh and then come to the knee. And this line for the shin, it's going to help me position where the foot is going to be. But here's the bottom part of the thigh that you're not going to be able to see all that when I finish putting in the leg, but I'm going to go ahead and show it so you can see how it connects. Now this leg, I'm actually going to start at the knee and work back into the crotch. And the same thing, I'm going to draw the thigh in there. I'm also going to put a line in after I get the bottom of this thigh. I'm going to put a line in again for the shin to position where I'm going to put the calf muscles and the feet. So I'm going to go ahead and work the muscles in there, coming down to the feet. And it's just kind of like a curved shape. Those are where the ankles are going to be. And this foot, you're actually going to be looking at the bottom of it in the picture. So I'm going to draw the shape out of the bottom of the foot, and then kind of connect the heels where you can see where the ankle is going to be. And I'm just going to put some lines on it so you can tell that it's the bottom of the foot. Just a little shading. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and show you where the ankles are going to line up to help me put the foot in. And here I'm going to do the calf muscles again. Now this one, it's going to be a little bigger, squished kind of look because this lower leg is actually up against the thigh, so it's kind of it's like you're flexing like a bicep. When you flex your bicep, it kind of gets higher and not as wide, and it's the same kind of thing for your legs. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the foot in there and the ankles. And now we kind of basically have the form here. So now you can kind of tighten your lines up a little bit with the shapes and everything. And I'm going to go ahead and start working on the face. I'm going to put the eyes in. All right, I'm going to tighten up the shape of the head. All right, now I'm going to kind of start putting in the details of the costume. Then we're going to do the web mapping in a minute. The web mapping sometimes can be a little challenging, but there's certain little tricks, at least on the mask, that I like to do to keep it simple. I'm going to throw a little more detail on the muscles too, maybe put some ab muscles in there. I don't really get into a lot of detail with my musculature, so I kind of try and keep it simple and do more of the work with colors instead of lines. All right, now I'm going to do the webbing on the fingers, and the fingers are really easy because it's just kind of like circles around the fingers basically. And the same thing like with the hands, just across the hands, there's lines across the hands. Same thing on the other side. And I'm going to go ahead and put the spider emblem in there. And I've really been enjoying doing kind of like a more classic spider emblem lately. So I just kind of like a bug looking spider with the legs coming out. Just gives it more of a classic feel when I've been into a lot of the classic costumes lately. All right, now we're going to start the web mapping on the face. So start with a small circle between the eyes and then just do bigger circles around that Probably do 2 more depending on how many you can fit on the image. And then I'll start doing lines from the small circle to the outside of the mask. And you got to remember that it's an arch. You're drawing these lines on a round shape. So it's not just straight lines. You got to curve the lines. And now for the rest of the body, you just want to kind of keep them consistent coming down the body, like the shape of them. And remember, like on the shoulders, it's the same thing as the head. You kind of want rounded lines. For the arms, it's a little easier. You can just do some straight lines in there to set them up. And then you got to do the webbing in between them too. Try and keep in mind the direction you go because you want to keep that consistent on each part of the body. And since this is just kind of a sketch, not really a finished piece, we can kind of go a little quicker. But if you were doing something like if you were inking this or you were finishing it and coloring it, you might want to take a little bit more time with these lines. And come down to the foot and just kind of keep extending the lines. And keep throwing the webbing in there. All the webbing. This is the most difficult process of Spider-Man. the lines on the costume. Once you can build the figure, it kind of gets easier to manipulate it a little bit with poses and things. I'm just going to tighten up some of the lines because now we're kind of more set on them. And that's basically how I would draw Spider-Man. So thanks for checking it out, guys.